Hey, welcome to the Explainer. For most property managers, that beautiful green landscaping, it's really just a huge, spiraling cost. But what if it didn't have to be? Today, we're going to talk about how to flip that script and turn a liability into a real value-driving asset.
First, let's just jump right into the numbers, because honestly, they're pretty shocking. Just in the past 5 years, the cost of water for commercial landscaping has absolutely skyrocketed. We're talking a 60% increase. Think about that. That's not a small leak in your budget. That's like a fire hydrant just broke open.
And it's not just the utility bill itself. It's the unpredictability. This kind of volatility it completely wrecks your budget. It turns what should be a predictable line item into this massive, uncontrolled business problem that's constantly eating away at your net operating income.
All right, so let's dig into this first section, the rising cost of green. We'll unpack the hidden financial drain that comes with doing things the old-fashioned way. So to put a real number on this, we're looking at an average annual cost of anywhere from $8,000 per acre. Now, if you've got a property with just, say, 5 acres of turf, you could be spending up to $40,000 a year just to water the grass. It's insane. But it doesn't have to be this way. What if there was a smarter approach? And that brings us right to our next section, a smarter, greener solution. This is where we stop talking about the problem and start looking at a really powerful strategic advantage. So what exactly is water-smart landscaping? First off, it's not about just turning off the water and letting everything die. No way. It's a really strategic combination. You're using the right plants for your area, you're using efficient tech, and you're using smarter maintenance. The whole goal is to drastically cut water use and, just as importantly, cut your operational headaches. And the results? Well, they kind of speak for themselves, don't they? When properties make this switch, we're seeing them slash their irrigation costs by a whopping 30 to 50%. And let's be super clear here. This isn't just about saving a few pennies. This is a total game changer for your bottom line. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how is that even possible? Well, it really boils down to 3 core strategies. These are the practical, hands-on steps that actually unlock all those savings. All right, strategy number 1. It all starts with your plant choice. And honestly, the difference is night and day. On one hand, you've got your traditional turf. It's thirsty, it's needy, it's high maintenance. But then you switch to native plants. Plants that are meant to be in your climate, and boom, they use 50 to 70% less water. Plus, you get this amazing year-round visual interest with different textures and colors instead of just one boring season of green.
Strategy number 2 is all about using tech to your advantage. And you can see how it breaks down. A huge chunk of the savings, about half, comes from just swapping out those wasteful old sprinklers for targeted drip or micro spray systems. Then, another big piece of the pie, about 40%, comes from installing smart controllers that actually check the weather and adjust automatically. And that last 10%, that's often just from finally fixing all those tiny, hidden leaks.
And our third strategy is all about sustainable maintenance. And this is where a few small changes can have a massive impact. Healthier soil, for example, acts like a sponge holding way more water. Throw down a layer of organic mulch, and you can slash your irrigation needs by up to 40%. And by using something called integrated pest management, basically a smarter way to handle pests, you can cut your chemical use by a ton. It's a whole system, you see. Everything works together.
All right, so we've covered the how. Now, let's get to my favorite part, the surprising financial payoff. This is where we talk about how all those water savings turn into a fast ROI and actually increase your property's value. Let's make this super real for a second. Imagine your property spends about $15,000 a year on irrigation, a pretty standard number. Well, a 50% reduction means you're putting $7,500 in cash right back into your pocket every single year. That's real money that goes straight to your bottom line.
And look at how fast the payback is. This timeline here for a smart irrigation upgrade lays it all out. Yeah, you've got an initial investment up front, but look, by year 2, the system has completely paid for itself through savings alone. And from year 3 on, that's just pure profit, year after year. It stops being a cost and becomes an investment with a guaranteed return. It's a no-brainer.
And the benefits here go way beyond just a direct savings. A beautiful, modern, sustainable landscape that seriously boosts your curb appeal.
It attracts those premium, eco-conscious tenants, the ones who are willing to pay more. And what does that lead to? Lower vacancy rates and the ability to command higher rents. It's a ripple effect. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds fantastic, but where on earth do I even begin? Well, that brings us to our last section, your path to savings. We're going to lay out a simple step-by-step plan to get you started.
The key thing to remember is you don't have to do it all at once. You start smart. Phase 1, do an assessment. Find that low-hanging fruit, the quick wins like fixing major leaks. Then, in Phase 2, you move on to system upgrades in your highest priority zones. And finally, Phase 3, you expand the transition across the whole property. This phased approach makes the whole thing totally manageable and budget-friendly.
You know, there's a quote in the source material that just nails it. It calls this sound business strategy disguised as environmental responsibility. And that's exactly what it is. This isn't just some feel-good green initiative. It's a hardcore, smart business strategy. You just happen to get the great PR and environmental win along with it.
So, at the end of the day, it really comes down to a simple choice. Your landscape is either a growing expense that's draining your budget, or it's a growing asset that's adding value. The technology is here, the strategies are proven. So really, the only question left to ask is, which one are you going to choose?